You said you'd start Monday, but Monday turned into next week. Next week turned into next year. And here you are. Same habits, same excuses. You say you're waiting for the right time, the perfect conditions, the clarity, the spark. But none of those are coming, you know it. Discipline doesn't wait. It doesn't beg. It doesn't care if you're tired, unmotivated, or overwhelmed. It just shows up, with or without your permission. You want change? Then stop treating your life like a rehearsal. Stop acting like there's a round two. This is it, right now, in the quiet. Before the excuses load up again, before comfort seduces you back into bed, before your potential dies another small death. You don't need more time, you need more truth. And here it is. You either train your habits or you defend your excuses. But you don't get to do both. One builds you, the other buries you. So ask yourself, am I building or am I hiding? Most people choose hiding. They scroll, they snack, they say tomorrow like it's a spell, but all they're really doing is saying not today, and not today becomes never. Look around you. Everyone's got potential, but very few have proof. Because proof hurts. Proof demands work. Habits demand repetition, discipline, pain, boredom. Excuses just need a reason, and reasons are free, easy to find, easy to fake. But real change? It's expensive. It costs comfort. It costs ego. It costs the version of you who always settles. So the question isn't whether you can do it, it's whether you're done lying about why you haven't. Because no one is coming to save you. No one is forcing you to rise. No one is watching every choice you make. But the future is, and it remembers everything. Excuses don't sound like lies. They sound like logic. They wear suits and carry facts. They show up with reasons so convincing you don't even question them. I'm too tired. I need to wait until I'm more prepared. I can't focus today. There's just too much going on. Sounds familiar? It should, because excuses don't speak in other people's voices. They sound exactly like you, your tone, your vocabulary, your rhythm. They know just how to calm your guilt while stealing your future. For example, someone wakes up at 6 a.m. ready to work out, but a voice whispers, "Rest is recovery, you've earned it," and just like that, the bed wins. Or someone wants to start that side business. But that voice returns, "Now's not the time. The market's too saturated." And just like that, the dream stalls another year. Excuses are internal negotiators trained in comfort. They don't demand you quit, they just ask you to wait. And waiting feels safe. It feels smart. It feels mature. But it's a trap, because every time you obey the excuse, you reinforce the habit. Every delay becomes a neural pathway. Every pass becomes a pattern, until avoidance becomes who you are. Here's the twist. You think your excuses are protecting your peace, but really, they're just defending your fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of effort with no reward. Excuses are the perfect mask. They let you feel strategic while staying stuck, and you're not alone. We all do it. We call it being realistic. We call it self-care. But deep down we know it's self-preservation at the cost of transformation. Think about this. When was the last time you said, "I don't have time," but still managed to scroll Instagram for 30 minutes? Or watched 3 episodes while telling yourself you're too busy to write? Time isn't the problem. Priority is. Excuses don't rob your time. They rob your urgency. They delay the discomfort today while compounding regret tomorrow. And the worst part, they sound like you because they are you. The weaker version. The version that fears change. The one who's mastered the art of staying the same while sounding smart. But if you can make excuses, you can unmake them. You just have to stop believing the voice in your head is always telling the truth. From here on, every excuse you hear should be questioned, cross-examined, dismantled. Because if you don't, they'll build a life for you, and you'll wake up one day living inside a version of yourself you never meant to become. That's how it works. One small excuse at a time, one not today, one harmless postponement, until the momentum of your life belongs to your lesser self. But not anymore. Now you see it. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. Excuses aren't just habits, they're identities. They're the armor we wear when we're afraid of being exposed. Because if you try and fail, you risk embarrassment. But if you never try, you stay safe, small, invisible. And that feels easier, for now. But avoidance has a price. A quiet one, a slow one. It doesn't hit you in the moment. It creeps up. Years pass and you look back and realize you never moved. People don't regret failing. They regret stalling. They regret believing their excuses were valid. For example, someone dreams of speaking on stage, but they say, "I'm not ready. I'm not good enough yet." 10 years later, they're still saying it, still convincing themselves the spotlight was never for them. Or someone wants to lose the weight. They plan, they research, they wait for the perfect diet. But deep down, they're just scared they won't succeed. So they excuse their way into another year of feeling trapped in their own body. This is the truth no one tells you. Excuses dress up like protection, but really, they're a cage, a soft one, padded with comfort, lined with logic, but still, a cage. You don't escape it by arguing with it. You escape it by moving while scared, by showing up when the voice says don't, by proving to yourself that you can act even without permission from your feelings. Action kills excuses. Repetition replaces them. Discipline dissolves them. But it only starts when you stop negotiating with the weaker version of you. The one who always has a reason. The one who always has a delay. The one who always promises soon. Soon is a lie. Soon is a slow death of potential. Soon is how your dreams stay dreams. So here's the challenge. The next time an excuse pops up, pause. Name it. Out loud if you have to. This is fear pretending to be logic. This is my comfort zone dressing up as self-care. And then act anyway. Send the message. Write the first page. Do the reps. Start badly if you must, but start. Because the only antidote to a lifetime of excuses is a single moment of courage, repeated daily. And every time you choose courage over comfort, you kill the lie that once held you back. That's how excuses die. Not in grand gestures, but in small, defiant choices, one after another, until the voice gets quieter and your momentum gets louder. And then, you become someone new. The version of you that no longer asks for permission. The one who builds. The one who finishes. The one who wins silently because they finally stopped listening to the lie. Most people never break free of excuses because they never admit they're making them. They think it's just reality. A busy season, a mental block, a rough week. But seasons turn, and mental blocks break with momentum, and rough weeks are supposed to end. The truth is, the more excuses you use, the better you get at using them. They become rehearsed, automatic, effortless, but so does effort, so does action. The first push is hard, the first truth is heavy, but what comes next is strength. A new rhythm, a new reflex, a new identity forming from repetition. So you have a choice. Stay loyal to your excuses and live the same story again and again, or betray your excuses and finally be loyal to your potential. It won't feel easy, it won't feel perfect, but it will feel real. And real is where change begins. Start today, not because you're ready, but because your excuses are. They're ready for you to quit again, to believe them again, to obey them one more time. Don't give them that win. Not today, not anymore. You've listened to their voice long enough. Now it's your turn to speak, with action, with decision, with proof. Because in the end, excuses are loudest right before they die. So kill them, one brave step at a time. But there's one last thing you need to know. Excuses don't just stop your progress. They steal your self-respect. They eat away at your confidence, not in a moment, but across time. Every time you say you'll do it and don't, you lose a little trust in yourself. That's the real cost. Not just lost goals, but a quiet erosion of belief. And belief is everything, because no matter how powerful the strategy, if the man running it doesn't believe in himself, it fails. That's why this matters more than motivation, more than hype. It's not just about breaking excuses, it's about rebuilding your relationship with yourself. When you say, "I'll do it," and you do, you get stronger. Not just physically, not just mentally, but spiritually. You become someone you can rely on, someone others trust, someone who walks into the day carrying proof, not promises. That kind of integrity, it doesn't come from books. It comes from action. It comes from doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like it. So from this moment forward, make yourself one promise. I do not negotiate with excuses. Not in the morning, not when it's hard, not when no one's watching, because the man who wins in silence wins everywhere. And now that man is you. Your life doesn't change by chance. It changes by choice. Repeated. Not once. Not when it's easy. Not when it's exciting. But daily. In silence. Without applause. This is the habit loop. A system that runs your life, whether you know it or not. Cue. Routine. Reward. 3 steps. 1 pattern. Infinite power if you take control of it. Most people don't. They think they're making decisions. But most of what you do every day isn't decided, it's remembered. A loop your brain coded once and has been running on autopilot ever since. For example, you wake up, cue. You grab your phone, routine. You scroll, you laugh, you escape, reward. And your brain says, nice, let's do that again tomorrow. Or maybe you feel stressed. Cue, you reach for junk food. Routine, instant comfort, reward. And now that loop is stitched into your nervous system like muscle memory. That's how habits work. Your brain doesn't care if they're good or bad. It only cares if they're easy and rewarding. Which means your default setting will always favor the path of least resistance. That's the battle. Not just doing the right thing, but making the right thing easier than the wrong one. Want to write daily? Put your notebook where your phone used to be. Want to eat better? Make junk harder to reach than real food. Want to stop doom scrolling? Log out. Move the app. Hide the temptation. Design beats discipline. Because if you're always relying on willpower, you're already losing. Willpower fades. Environments don't. That's why successful people obsess over systems, not sparks. They don't hope to feel motivated. They build friction for bad habits and flow for good ones. Here's a truth most never realize. Your habits are the architecture of your destiny. And if you don't design them with precision, they'll default into something forgettable. This is why small habits matter so much. Not because they're impressive, but because they're compounding. One drink a night seems harmless until it's a decade of fog. One skipped workout feels fine until it's a year of regret. One lie to yourself, just this once, becomes your new default. But here's the good news. The reverse is also true. One page written, one rep done, one new routine built with care, repeated, can rewire your identity from the inside out. Because habits don't just change your results, they change your story, and that story shapes your standard. Want to feel confident? Keep the promises you make to yourself. Not occasionally, consistently. That consistency becomes your certainty. Picture this. A man who's trained to write one page a day, rain or shine. He's not waiting for a creative spark. He's building a muscle. Or a woman who meditates every morning, not for calm, but for command. She doesn't need to fight stress anymore. Her nervous system knows where stillness lives. These aren't magical people. They're not born different. They just decided to control the loop before it controlled them. And now, it's your turn, because the loop is already running. The only question is, will you be its author or its prisoner? You don't need to overhaul your entire life today. You just need to break the loop once. Interrupt the cue, change the routine, delay the reward. Let's say your cue is boredom. Instead of reaching for snacks, take a walk. Instead of opening social media, open a notebook. Your brain won't like it at first. It'll protest. It'll beg for the dopamine hit. But if you push through, you teach it a new way to be satisfied. Repetition is how the new loop sticks. And here's the kicker. The more you repeat a habit, the less energy it costs. What once felt impossible becomes automatic. Momentum takes over. And now, you're dangerous, because you're no longer at the mercy of your mood. You wake up and train, not because it feels good, but because it's who you are. You show up for work, not because it's easy, but because your system is stronger than your excuses. And that's freedom, not doing what you want when you feel like it. But building a life so disciplined, you don't need to rely on feeling at all. Let's zoom in. You want to build a reading habit? Start with one page a day. That's it. Make it stupid simple. Do it at the same time, in the same place, same chair, same lighting, same tea. That consistency creates the groove, and grooves become highways. You want to cut bad habits? Make them ugly, make them annoying. If you always binge watch at night, unplug the TV after dinner. If you scroll too much, set a time lock app that blocks access. Remove ease, add friction. The more steps it takes to do a bad habit, the less you'll do it. The fewer steps it takes to do a good one, the more it becomes who you are. This isn't theory, it's neuroscience. The brain craves patterns, and you are the architect. Here's a truth few accept. Your habits are not moral, they're mechanical. They don't care if they're making you stronger or weaker. They just run the loop, and the loop will keep running until you interrupt it. But once you do, once you step in and tweak just one part, you regain control. And control is the seed of self-mastery. Because when you design a habit, you're not just changing what you do, you're changing what you believe about who you are. Write daily, and you become a writer. Train daily, and you become an athlete. Save daily, and you become disciplined. Not because of a label, but because your actions prove it. Belief follows behavior. Identity follows action. Want to stop feeling like a fraud? Stack up undeniable proof. Small, consistent, non-negotiable. Even 5 minutes a day matters, because 5 minutes repeated becomes a legacy. That's the habit loop, not just a tool, but a weapon. And now that you've seen it, you can never unsee it. So the next time you feel stuck, don't ask, what's wrong with me? Ask, what loop am I running? And then rewrite it, on purpose, relentlessly, until the system you live in is the one you chose. That's the real flex. Not talent, not genetics, not luck, but the man who mastered his loop. That man is building quietly, every day, and soon he'll be impossible to ignore. And when they ask you how you did it, you'll smile and say, I became the loop. Because that's the truth most won't tell you. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your systems. And your systems are your habits, not the ones you write down, the ones you live, the ones that fire when no one's watching. Want to see your future? Don't look at your dreams, look at your patterns. Are you building or drifting? Are you acting with design or default? Most people think they're stuck because of willpower, but they're stuck because they're running someone else's loop. A loop handed to them by society, by parents, by past failures. They live in a loop of doubt, a loop of delay, a loop of almost, but never quite. But not you, not anymore, because now you've seen behind the curtain. You've seen that motivation is a liar, and identity is a product of repeated action. You don't need to believe first, you need to behave first, and let the belief catch up. Take the man who thinks he's lazy, but he shows up to the gym for 10 days straight. Something shifts. His body changes. Yes, but more than that, his story changes. He's no longer the lazy one. He's the one who moves anyway, even on tired days, even on bad days. And that shift, it starts in the loop. It starts with one cue, one routine, one decision that says, I'm done being the old me. So what's your cue? What starts your downward spiral? Find it, write it down, and then build a better response. Make the loop yours. And one day, when everything changes, you'll know exactly how it happened. Not by magic, not by motivation, but by a loop. Built by design and reinforced by choice, every single day. I didn't wait for change, I built the loop that created it. This is the part where most people stop, not because they don't want it, but because they don't know how to build it. Everyone talks about habits. Few know how to make them stick. They try to change everything at once. New diet, new schedule, new identity. And in 2 weeks, burnout. Because building habits isn't about doing everything. It's about doing one thing, relentlessly. Let's start simple. Pick one habit, one action you can do in under 2 minutes. That's the seed. Not to impress anyone, but to anchor your day. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You don't need motivation to brush. You just do it because it's baked in. That's the goal. Automatic, non-negotiable. Locked in. Let's say your habit is journaling. Don't start with 3 pages. Start with 1 sentence. Same time, same place, every day. Make it easy to win. Make it impossible to fail. Then, stack it. After brushing your teeth, journal. After pouring coffee, journal. Your brain links the two, and now you've built what's called a habit chain, a loop within a loop. This is how you compound change. Small wins, daily reps. Over time, they shift who you believe you are. And that's the real secret. Your habits don't just change your behavior, they change your self-concept. Every time you show up, you're voting for the future version of you. One workout doesn't make you fit, but it proves that you train. One healthy meal doesn't cure you, but it proves that you care. This is why consistency is more powerful than intensity. Intensity fades. Consistency compounds. You don't need to do it all today. You need to do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. Until it's no longer something you're trying to do, it's who you are. Take the man who sets his clothes out the night before. He's not just saving time, he's removing resistance. Take the woman who preps her meals on Sunday. She's not just eating clean, she's designing her future. Habits are not hacks. They are the scaffolding of your transformation. They are boring, repetitive, quiet, and yet they are everything. Everyone sees the results. Few respect the process, because no one claps when you do the right thing alone. No one cheers for unbroken streaks at 5 a.m. But that's where the winners are built. in silence, in systems, in the decision to keep going when no one is watching. Most people give up because they rely on motivation. Don't be most people. Rely on your loop. Build it like armor, piece by piece, action by action. And soon, when the world asks how you did it, you'll say, I didn't rise to the challenge. I built the system that made it inevitable. But let's go deeper, because systems don't build themselves. You do, with intention, with clarity, with structure. So here's how you make your habits last. First, tie them to identity. Don't say I'm trying to quit smoking. Say I'm not a smoker. Don't say I'm trying to eat better. Say I'm the type of person who eats clean. Your identity sets the ceiling, your habits build the floor, and every action you take raises the ground you stand on. Second, create a trigger, a consistent cue that sparks the routine. Same time, same place, same emotional state. Want to work out every morning? Lay out your shoes by the bed. Want to write at lunch? Leave your notebook on the table. The easier it is to start, the harder it becomes to break. Third, make it satisfying. Track it, check it off, feel the win. Your brain loves closure. Use it. Even a calendar X, a simple app tick, releases dopamine that says, good job, let's do that again. This is how habits stick, not through struggle, but through systems. And when you fail, and you will, don't collapse the system. Miss one day, not two. Break the streak, then rebuild immediately. Because shame is a trap. It tricks you into quitting, but systems don't judge. They simply wait for you to return. That's the power of design. It gives you grace without losing ground. Let's imagine you build 5 habits this year. Wake early, meditate, train, read, journal, one at a time, 1 month at a time. By year's end, you're a different human, not because of a transformation, but because of aggregation. Stacked reps, stacked wins, stacked proof. And now, people notice. You've changed, they say, and you'll smile, knowing it wasn't sudden. It was a slow, steady build, brick by brick. Every early wake-up, every workout, every word written in silence. They weren't random, they were code. Code for your future self, built not by luck, but by habits. And now that code is running automatically. Not because it's easy, but because it's embedded. This is what the world doesn't see. The man who trained himself to show up. The woman who rewrote her loop until it worked for her. They think it's natural, but it's not. It's designed. And now, so are you. You've seen the loop, you've built the habits. Now comes the test. Will you maintain it when life pushes back? The truth is, anyone can start. But legends are made in the maintenance, in the quiet refusal to let the standard drop. Not for a day, not for a season, but forever. This is the discipline of the uncommon. They don't wait to feel ready, they don't wait to feel like it. They just move, habitually, toward the highest version of themselves. And the best part? Once your habits are built, they build you. They lift your standards, they eliminate debate, they clear the fog, because you no longer have to think about what to do. You just do it. Like breathing, like brushing, like showing up when it counts. Which, by the way, is every single day. That's how you win. Not with talent, not with luck, but with a system so solid, even failure can't break it. But before we move on, let this settle deep. You don't need a miracle to become who you want to be. You just need better habits. Habits are not glamorous. They're not exciting, but they are honest. They don't care what you believe about yourself. They reflect what you do about yourself. And every habit you repeat, it's casting a vote for the man you're becoming, for the woman you're building. You want confidence? Keep promises to yourself. 1 rep, 1 task, 1 rule at a time. You want freedom? Build structure. Design your time so life can't hijack it. You want peace? Eliminate chaos. Remove the habits that drain and replace them with ones that restore. None of this is easy, but none of it is beyond you. You already know what to do. The problem was never knowledge, it was consistency. And now you've got that too, because you've committed to the build, the dull daily bricks of progress, the ones no one sees, but everyone feels later. Years from now, when your life looks completely different, you'll look back and realize it wasn't one giant moment that changed you. It was 1,000 quiet habits that did. Each one a whisper that said, I don't quit. I show up. I'm building something bigger than my excuses. And you did. You are. Now finish the day strong. Not for the streak, not for the post, but because it's who you are now. And one last thing before we turn the page, you're no longer waiting for the perfect plan, because you've learned something rare. Action creates clarity. Every habit you build clears the fog just a little more. Every step forward makes the path more visible. Most people wait until they feel certain. You move because you decided to be certain, not in the outcome, but in yourself. And that shift, it changes everything. Because when you trust yourself to show up daily, you don't need hype, you don't need validation. You just need one cue, and the loop kicks in. This is the evolution, from effort to instinct, from chaos to command. You're no longer reacting to life, you're creating it, deliberately, habitually, quietly. And while others chase intensity, you're building integrity, one habit at a time, one day at a time. This is what makes you unstoppable. Not force, not talent, but trust in your system. Because in a world full of noise, you've chosen the signal that says, I will not be moved. And that's what you carry with you now, into every room, every battle, every morning. The invisible edge, the quiet confidence, the loop that never breaks. You wake up every morning in a war, not with the world, not with other people, but with yourself, with the voice that says, sleep in, the whisper that says, you've done enough, the tug of comfort that pulls you back under. And if you're not prepared, you lose before the day even starts. This is the daily battle, the war between who you are and who you could be. Most never win it, because they never realize it's being fought. They think their day just happens, but every minute is a negotiation between the you that wants more and the you that wants ease. So what wins? Not willpower, not motivation, structure, design, discipline. When your alarm goes off, you're not deciding if you'll get up. You're proving that you already did, yesterday. Because that alarm isn't a suggestion, it's a signal that says, I don't need to feel ready, I already chose. That's the difference. Most people act based on how they feel. Winners act based on who they've decided to become. And that decision, it's made fresh, daily. You don't win once and coast. You win every sunrise, every cold shower. Every rep that says yes to progress and no to comfort. And the beauty of it, you don't need to win the whole day. You just need to win the first fight. Because how you start echoes. It becomes the tone, the rhythm, the edge. Most people snooze and stumble. You wake and strike. Even if it's small, even if it's silent, even if no one sees, you see. And that's what matters. Because the first promise you keep each day, it isn't to your job, or your goals, or your family. It's to you. And when you start your day in power, the rest of the world adjusts. You walk different, think different, decide faster, because the hardest part is done. You've already faced the hardest enemy, the inner resistance that wants ease over excellence. You didn't run from it, you walked right through it. That's the battle. And today, you won. But tomorrow, you fight again, and the day after that, again. This is why most people fall off. They think discipline is something you earn once, like a trophy. But discipline isn't a medal, it's a meal. You eat it daily or go hungry. Every day you choose, comfort or growth, excuses or execution. There is no neutral. Every choice tilts the scale. And some mornings you won't feel it, you won't want it. You'll stare at the task and ask, why am I doing this? Here's why. Because every day you show up, you're proving that comfort doesn't own you. You do. And if you give up now, you don't just lose the day. You train your brain to expect that pattern. It remembers the retreat, the skipped workout, the abandoned journal. Then tomorrow it whispers louder, we don't have to do it today either. This is the trap. A single compromise becomes the new standard. But here's the solution. Repetition builds rhythm. Rhythm builds rituals. Rituals build identity. Identity builds everything. And the best part? Every day is a new vote. You don't need a perfect record. You need a current commitment. So if you lost yesterday, good, because now you have something to reclaim. Today, you fight better, smarter, more prepared. You make it non-negotiable. Not because it's easy, but because it's you. You're not the man who hits snooze. You're not the woman who scrolls before moving. You're not the one who waits to feel like it. You're the one who gets up, moves with intent, executes without applause. Not for others, for legacy, for future you. And yes, it gets lonely. People won't understand. They'll call you obsessed, too rigid, too disciplined. But that's how you know you're close. Because the closer you get to uncommon results, the more the common crowd gets uncomfortable. They'll mock your routine, question your hustle, roll their eyes when you leave early or say no. But deep down, they wish they had what you do. A system, a standard, a path. Let them talk. You're too busy building, because while they waste mornings, you weaponize yours. And that's why you win the day, before they've even started. Let's be clear. Discipline doesn't mean you don't struggle. It means you struggle on purpose. You walk into resistance, face it, break it, rebuild after it. You get stronger through the grind, not in spite of it. Some days, the weight will feel heavier, but that's not weakness. That's life saying, here's your upgrade. Push anyway. Not because you want to prove something to them, but because you promised something to you. Progress isn't a prize, it's a pattern, and patterns are built in private. No one sees the early alarm. No one sees the quiet reps. No one sees you battle the voice that says, skip today. But you know, and that's enough. You win the day by winning yourself, by choosing the hard thing while it's still hard. And that choice, repeated, it becomes who you are. But before we move on, remember this. Discipline is a form of love, not punishment, not rigidity, love. Because when you're disciplined, you're saying, I care enough about myself to keep showing up. You care enough to train, to rise early, to say no to short-term pleasure, because the long-term version of you deserves more, and you're willing to fight for them, daily. That's love, the highest form. Not soft, not sentimental, but structured, resolute, earned. Others might confuse your habits for obsession, but they'll see your results and call it luck. Let them. You know the truth. You lived the truth. And now the next chapter begins. The battle continues tomorrow, but you're not afraid. You're prepared, because you've made the battle a ritual. And let this sink in one last time. Every day is not about perfection. It's about return. Return to the grind. Return to your standard. Return to who you promised to become. Because the difference between the broken and the built, it's not talent. It's not timing. It's return. Life throws storms. You return. Energy dips. You return. Motivation fades. You return. And every return writes a deeper line in your identity. Not the loud kind, the real kind. The kind that shows up when it's dark and no one's watching. The kind that holds the line when temptation comes knocking. You don't need more hacks. You need fewer negotiations. Decide once. Repeat often. Let your system carry what your feelings can't. That's what makes it daily. That's what makes it powerful. You're not trying to feel unstoppable. You're becoming someone who can't be stopped. Because in a world full of almosts, you finish. In a world full of one day, you build today. Close your eyes for a moment and meet the version of you 5 years from now. Not the fantasy version, the one built from today's actions. Does that person smile when they see you, or are they silently begging you to wake up? Because every choice today feeds that future. Every rep, every skipped excuse, every hard truth you swallow instead of avoid. They're bricks, stacked in the dark, building a version of you that's either proud or pissed. Most people think the future happens, but the future is built, quietly, daily, by who you are when no one's watching. And the most dangerous lie? It won't matter just this once. Yes, it will. It always does, because you're always voting for the man you're becoming, for the woman you're sculpting. And you think that future version is so far away, but you become them now, with today's behavior. Your future isn't a destination, it's a mirror. It reflects what you tolerated, what you repeated, what you were too afraid to break. Look ahead, see it clearly. The life you want isn't in the hands of fate. It's in your hands. Now, don't wait for permission. Don't wait for alignment. Create it. Every action is a message sent forward in time. I'm coming for you. I won't let you down. And one day, you'll meet that version. You'll see if they're strong or struggling. You'll see if they inherited your patterns or your power. Make sure they look back and say, thank you for not quitting. Thank you for building what I now live in. That's the work. That's the legacy. To live in a way today that makes your future self grateful, not resentful. That's where we begin. And that's why we don't stop. And when the days get heavy, when the path gets foggy, don't ask how far you've come. Ask who you're becoming. Because that's what shapes everything. The small decisions you repeat until they rewrite you. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're reinforcing a future built on fire. Every time you say no to your lesser self, you give the stronger one the mic. This is the game of time. You plant now, you harvest later. Most people want to harvest without planting, live big without living right. But not you. You've seen behind the curtain. You've tasted the cost of delay, and now you move different. Now you act with weight. Because you know this truth. Life doesn't hand you the future you want. It hands you the future you earned. And that earning, it's not dramatic, it's not viral, it's not glamorous, it's brutal honesty, daily execution, and the refusal to forget who's waiting for you years from now. They're not waiting for a hero, they're waiting for a decision. The decision to show up today, to sacrifice what feels good now for what feels right later. Let others waste time, scroll endlessly, complain daily. You're on mission, and that mission doesn't clock out. You're not building a moment, you're building a man, a woman, a warrior, someone who walks into every room with proof in their bones, someone who doesn't talk about being disciplined, they live it. And the more you live it, the clearer your path becomes, the more your future trusts you. You become the kind of person who keeps promises forward. You don't just hope for greatness, you forecast it. You make it predictable, inevitable, not by luck, by character. And every time you're tempted to slip, to skip, to soften, to let it slide, remember this. You're not just breaking a rule, you're breaking a future. Hold the line, not for today's comfort, for tomorrow's crown. You're not chasing potential, you're cashing it in. Because the you 5 years from now, they'll either thank you or forgive you. Make sure they don't have to do both. This is your edge. This is your advantage. The long game, the unseen reps, the mindset that says, I'll suffer now so future me doesn't have to. That's the difference. And it's the only one that matters. Let others chase validation. You chase transformation. Let others crave attention. You crave evolution. Because when it's all said and done, when the lights go off and the applause fades, it's you in the mirror. And the only question left will be, did I show up for him? Did I honor her? If the answer is yes, you've already won. Because your future self doesn't need perfect. They need consistent. They need someone who didn't flinch when it got hard, who didn't fold when the shortcut came calling. They need someone who cared more about becoming than appearing. And now, they have you, the relentless one, the builder, the one who saw 5 years ahead and acted like it was already real. That's the power. And it's yours, today. But there's one more thing your future self needs from you, a vow, a declaration, not shouted, not posted online, but lived in silence, that no matter what storms hit, no matter what setbacks land, you will not betray the man you're becoming. You will not abandon the woman you're building, because every betrayal of self starts small, a missed promise, a silent compromise, a delayed action that becomes a habit. And then one day, you wake up in a life you don't recognize, a life you didn't plan, a life you tolerated into existence. But not you. You know better now, that future version of you? They're not waiting for a miracle. They're waiting for a decision. And you've already made it. Today. Right here. To become the one who doesn't fold. The one who honors the promise. The one who shows up, especially when it's hardest. Because future you isn't built in comfort. They're forged in fire. And each action you take in discomfort is another weapon in their arsenal. You're not just building muscle, you're building memory, cellular proof that you are the kind of person who endures. And that changes everything. Because when you meet that version of you down the line, you won't need to explain, you won't need to justify. They'll just look at you and nod, and you'll feel it in your chest. I'm proud of what we did. That pride, it's not ego, it's evidence. Evidence that you stayed the course, that you kept your word. And that's worth more than applause, more than money, more than motivation. Because when you build with discipline, you don't need outside proof. You become your own reward. So keep building, keep forging. Your future isn't waiting, it's watching. And now it knows they're coming for me. This was never about motivation, not really. It was about reclaiming control, building momentum, shifting identity. You've heard the truth now. You've seen the map. You've felt the fire. Now it's on you. Not to be perfect, but to be present. To stop waiting, to stop pretending tomorrow is guaranteed. Because the man you want to be, the woman you admire, they're forged in daily discomfort, not dreams. Here's what to do next. 1. Pick one habit. 1, not 10. One action that would make tomorrow 1% stronger. Write it down. Make it real. 2. Own your mornings. The first hour isn't just time, it's tone. Decide who shows up. 3. Use discomfort as signal. When it gets hard, lean in. That's where change lives. 4. Stop negotiating. Decide once. Repeat forever. 5. Visualize your future self. Every day, meet them in your mind. Make them proud. 6. Keep promises to yourself, even the small ones, especially the small ones, because every kept promise is a vote for the identity you're sculpting, and every broken one is erosion. This isn't hype. This is how you win. And from here on out, everything you do sends a signal to your body, to your brain, to your future. So send the right one. You don't need to become anyone else. You just need to remember who you were before the world told you to shrink, before the habits, before the excuses, before the numb comfort. The real you? They've been buried under convenience. It's time to dig them out. Daily, ruthlessly, lovingly. This is your second chance, your real start. Not Monday, not New Year's. Now, start small, stay sharp. Let every rep, every step, every refusal to quit carve out the proof. Proof that you were here, that you meant it. And when the voice comes back, the one that whispers maybe later, look it dead in the eye and say, I already decided. This isn't a phase. This is who I am now. Let that be the final sentence. This is who I am now. Now go prove it, over and over, until the world has no choice but to believe it too. And if you're still listening, that means something. It means you're ready. Not just ready to hear the truth, but ready to live it. Most won't. Most will scroll. Most will save this and never return. But not you. You came here for more. And you're leaving with tools. This voice won't be there every morning, so you need to become the voice. The one who says, get up. We go again. This is who we are now. No more borrowed motivation. No more waiting for perfect circumstances. You are the circumstance. You are the storm. And storms don't beg for peace. They create their own weather. You were built for this. Every setback, every scar, every regret, it prepared you. Now it's time to return the favor. Show the younger version of you that the pain wasn't wasted. Show the future version of you that it was worth it. And show the world, not with words, but with discipline, with consistency, with results so loud they silence every old excuse. This isn't motivation, it's transformation. And the only thing left now is action. And that, my dear friend, is for you to take